Welcome to the Weekly Gaming Blast, the podcast that brings you gaming news unhinged. I'm Akibana Zero.
And I'm RTG, hello.
And I'm your favourite Daniel Dillips.
Your favourite, he says. He's
our favourite.
He's our favourite, for sure, but he's on the show a third time and he's already cocky like that. Look at that, yeah. Yes, we have Daniel once more on the show with us. Not for any particular special occasion, mind you. It's just, we like talking to him. So, how have you been, Daniel?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. I've been playing some Divinity Original Sin 2.
Oh, still on that. I've heard that's really, really tough.
Yeah, but fortunately, with enough patience, you actually do get progress in the game, and when you do get progress, it really means something. You level up once, and battles which seemed impossible before seem quite manageable. I've been having a lot of fun with it.
That's awesome. What about you, RTG? How's it going?
I am well, thank you very much. Can't really complain about anything. Getting into the swing of this whole new website art thing and all of that stuff. It's good to see the fruits of my labour.
I've seen your site. It's all looking pretty nice and nifty.
It's back, and it just took me so long to get that Twitter window working. It just would not work, and now it works, and it's up to date, and it's like that was a good hour worth of getting increasingly frustrated that it wasn't working.
Yeah, Google oftentimes is your friend with these kinds of things, but yeah, I remember fiddling with widgets on WordPress can sometimes be a bit of a chore.
That's understating.
Right. So Daniel, you've been playing Divinity. You say, RTG, what has been on your gaming menu these past couple of weeks? Because it's been a while.
It has been a while. Well, I'm playing a game I can't talk about yet, which is annoying. But yeah, you know what it is. Being my friend on Switch has massive advantages to knowing what I'm currently playing. But aside from that, I finished Ori and the Blind Forest, which was a fantastic game from beginning to end. Brilliant music, beautiful, beautiful visuals. An absolute joy to play. I'm glad it's finished because I can only deal with Metroidvania style games for so long before they start to infuriate me just because they're so labyrinthine. But yeah, I'm taking a break from Metroidvania, then I'll go back and I'll play Axiom Verge. But the other game I've been playing is called Hue. I don't know whether you've heard of it.
That's on PS4. Are you playing that on PS4?
I'm playing it on Vita.
Vita, okay.
Because I looked at a trailer for the game and I was like, if I play that on PS4, it's just going to be on way too big a screen and it's going to look horrible. Whereas if I play it on Vita, it's on a smaller screen and looks much nicer. But yeah, it's a puzzle platformer that's had me almost literally face-palming at points that I was too stupid to figure out how to get through the room. And I was just trying things that were blatantly not going to work for a good half hour sometimes, trying to figure out how to get through a single room. But for those of you obviously out there who don't know what Hue is, it's a puzzle platformer that uses colour as its means of progress. So certain objects and certain obstacles will either be in your way or not in your way, or available or not available, depending on what colour you've made the room be. So let's just say there's a barrier in your way which is red. If you change the colour of the room to red, that barrier will disappear. But once it gets later on, there's occasions where you have to change colour in mid-air as you're jumping to get through barriers, or to make platforms appear that weren't there before, or to escape from obstacles that are chasing you, just changing the colour constantly. And yeah, it's been a really quite wonderful experience so far. I think I'm in the last chapter now, though, the last area, so that's soon going to be done, which is going to leave me with a very weird empty hole for an indie game, a cute little indie game I can blast through in a few hours.
Well, it just that sounds really unique. I mean, I've seen some videos on Hue, but definitely the way you're explaining it is a lot better. Like that whole mechanic of, you know, mid-air changing the color just sounds pretty cool.
It is, and it can be frustrating if you mess it up because you die instantly. So
lots of trial and error, I assume.
Yeah, a lot of trial and error. But once you figure it out, sometimes it can be a really weird sort of eureka moment. But once, so, like, some rooms are very easy. You walk into it, you look at it, you're like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do. And other ones, you're just like, oh, you bastards. When you figure out what the devs were trying to get you to do, you're like, oh, you cheeky, how dare you? But yeah, it's a great game. I would thoroughly recommend it. And it was PlayStation Plus, I think, a few months ago.
I think so. Yeah, indeed.
I've been playing a game which was recently released called Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, which combines the oddest of things. It combines kind of like managing money with horror and with puzzles elements as well, and huge jump scares, and it's incredible. It doesn't sound like it will work as a concept, but it actually does. The horror elements is exceptional. It really does. Every time I got a jump scare, I literally did like this, because it's as though they're actually coming at you. And basically, you're in like this vent area, and you've got to cover both the left-hand vent and the right-hand vent. And you've got to also do your daily business tasks. So, for example, while you're printing menus, there's a printer, it's an old-fashioned printer, so it's making all sorts of noises. And you're trying to listen through your surround sound headphones to the animatronics coming out the vents, because what you need to do if you see them is look at the vent, and they won't come out to get you. And it's so frightening. And the best thing is, it's free. You can go on Steam, you can download it, don't have to pay anything.
I've heard that game really messes with the lore as well. Like he went to extraordinary lengths to tie up the plot threads from the previous games, and now he's just added more, because obviously that franchise is going to live forever.
I hope it does. I know some people really disagree with me, but I hope it does. When you buy like attractions in the pizzeria, you can play them, and basically some of them gives you like lore. So like it will glitch out, and then you'll get some sort of hidden meaning. So for example, there's this one where it's like Pac-Man, but basically it's this little girl who's getting fruits and then power-ups and stuff like that. And whenever she gets a time extension, the screen flashes, and you see the reflection of the gamer, who's a little girl playing it. And at first she's all happy, but when you complete it and play it a second time, she looks sad. And then the third time when you play it, she looks really sad. But the game sort of changes, like to be more miserable, more evil, and then you can piece together kind of the story of what happens to this girl. I won't go into like the detail, but it's just awesome. For a free game, you can't complain. And the sound quality is really good. The sound really makes it scary. And that's one of the new games I've been playing. And anyone can play it as long as you've got a PC.
Oh, might give it a try, though I don't think I want to be able to sleep. Anyway, yeah, animatronics give me nightmares. Yeah. Well, as for me, my dad is here visiting his granddaughter, so my gaming time has all been relegated to whatever I can play on my Switch without it playing on my screen, because my dad's either watching something or I'm in the room or something like that. So I played a little bit I Am Setsuna, which is pretty cool, but got a little boring. So I went and picked up Skyrim, and now I'm wondering, why the hell didn't I play that when it came out on PS3 way back when? Great, really good game. Really good game. I'm so happy with it.
I'm glad you're enjoying that, because I had quite a lot of fun with it on the Switch as well. I'm disappointed in you about I Am Setsuna, but like I can forgive you because of Skyrim.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I will finish I Am Setsuna. It's just, it kind of felt like, I think I need something a little bit more active in my hands.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been meaning to play Skyrim, so, yeah. It's a cool story and everything. I mean, I kind of like it so far as I am in I Am Setsuna. What was that, Daniel?
I was just going to say, I like the way in Skyrim, as you do things, you level up. Like, as you do things, you level, not just kill monsters and solve quests. It's just like, really, you would genuinely get better if you did more of that. So, for example, lockpicking.
Yeah, lockpicking has leveled me up. Lots of stuff have leveled me up. What I really like about it is that I walk around in the world, and I'm like sent to like a really far away place for the quest, right? But I'm walking along, and I always find a dungeon. I find something somewhere to do something. And that's really, really cool, because it means the world is very much alive. And this is me, like, I'm not really a big Bethesda guy. I played Fallout 4. Fallout 4 kind of had this, but I kind of feel like Skyrim has done it a little bit better. Because so far, there hasn't been a time that I had to travel somewhere and there wasn't something for me to do along the way, or maybe a couple of things to do along the way. So yeah, they did a good job with that game.
And I know it's not a new game, but I've been playing Street Fighter V, big shocker, an extra battle mode. So that, like,
I love the extra battles.
Yeah,
Fun.
It's really cool. Like, they've got another Shadow New Soldier who's basically silver, as in his skin's silver and stuff like that. And he tries to do the Bison Psycho Crusher, but he falls down when he tries to do it. But he's got like 3 hits of armor or something ridiculous like that. And when you beat him, you get like 10,000 experience points for your character.
Oh, nice.
Excuse me. So you can basically, if you want to level up a character, just put that character and do the fight. As long as you can win, you get 3 attempts, and then that's it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, but you still have to pay fight money to fight him, yeah?
Yeah, but it's a meager amount. I think it's like 500 fight money or something. It's like a pathetic amount.
Yeah, it's something you can easily get back. Also, I've noticed people, when I'm playing online, are more utilising their V-Trigger 2 more effectively. And you see some people who just stay away from like their alternative V-Triggers. I've got an idea of which ones are pretty useless, actually. But, you know, they could patch it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, that's always a problem when they introduce alternative supers, alternative triggers, all that stuff. I mean, there's always going to be some that were like, yeah, we can't really make this better than his original one, so... But then they do it right. Like, I remember with Chun in Street Fighter 4, I was super happy with both her ultras because both of them were useful in different types of matches. The Ultra 1 kind of changed it up against Fireball characters. It was like suddenly now I'm a threat at a distance.
Yeah.
Whereas with Ultra 2, I have the combo extension.
It's a bit like that now. Well, not really.
Not really at all. Anyway, let's jump right into our controversial section. And let's kick it off because loot boxes are back in a completely different way now. It's not enough anymore to introduce a game with loot boxes anymore. Now we can have a game that didn't start off with loot boxes, and suddenly, bam, several months later, here you go, loot boxes introduced. Ghost Recon Wildlands recently added loot boxes into the game. Post-release. Wowzers. What do we think of this, gentlemen? RTG, let me get your thoughts, because you're the big anti-loot box guy here.
That game came out in March 2017. It is almost a year old. Ubisoft, what in the world are you playing at?
Yes.
The thing which makes the whole loot box thing so much worse in 2018 is that we have already had in 2018 an example of the loot box style thing done right, which is the Dragon Ball FighterZ model. No real world currency, no duplicates, and even if you do get, well, there are duplicates, but the duplicates actually get you more stuff. Like, so for there to be legitimate loot boxes still, well, legitimate, is absurd. Absolutely absurd. Because not only have we got the Ghost Recon Wildlands thing, which is a complete insult to the people that, well, to the, I don't know, 3 people that still play Ghost Recon Wildlands this time after its launch. But obviously Battlefront 2 is getting back its loot boxes soon. Well, getting back the way its loot boxes originally worked soon, because EA can't help themselves. Stop it. Publishers, stop it, because it's not the developers. The developers have very little say in what disgusting stuff is going on here. It's absolutely no doubt that Ubisoft, actually I think Ubisoft are the developer and publisher, so they are evil on both counts for doing this to Wildlands. It's just the thing which makes this worse, and this will be my last point because otherwise I could go on for best part of a couple of years about loot boxes, is that whereas to an extent it was poorly done, yes, but Battlefront 2, Gamblefront 2 to give it its true name, was built from the ground up for the loot box economy, albeit it was poorly built from the ground up for the loot box economy, but it was built for that feature. Ghost Recon Wildlands came out a year ago. That was not built for loot boxes. Loot boxes being incorporated into the game will mess with the balance, which Ubisoft won't bother readdressing because the game's a year old. Therefore, by introducing loot boxes into Ghost Recon Wildlands, they are essentially destroying the original game.
Daniel, your thoughts on this matter?
Well, I think got to give Ubisoft some credit. They're actually going to give you 2-3 loot boxes through the Ubisoft Club. So therefore, everything they do is fine.
What is the Ubisoft Club? Because I have no idea what that is.
It's like the secondary software program that you download to spend. Like you get these, you do these achievements, and then you can use the points to unlock things. I remember they did something like that with Heroes of Might and Magic, where you get an achievement, get some points, and wow, congratulations, you can now download a wallpaper. And I'm like, really? It's not worth it. I'm not really too keen on loot boxes, even in Overwatch. I don't like it. It's saying, I'm reading here, there are 2 different types of battle crates. The first is a Spec Ops crate, which contains epic and exotic weapons, as well as vehicles and cosmetic items for use in the campaign. Now that indicates to me that it's not just all cosmetic, because they're distinguishing epic and exotic weapons, as well as cosmetic stuff.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So there's a kind of pay to win kind of thing, except it's more gambling. But they're also saying that you can actually buy items through the in-game store. So, at least they're being transparent with it. But you know what? In a way, I don't know if you agree with this, but it's down to the consumer to make that decision to pay for that. And if they do, then they consent, for that practice to continue.
Not really. The problem with loot boxes is that they are predatory on the people that would be weak to those practices. That's the main crux. That's the main problem with loot boxes, which is why they've been compared to legitimate gambling practices. Hence, why there's been so much furore and so much political upheaval about them. It's because these things are engineered, same as say a slot machine is, in very very similar to the way a slot machine is, in that it preys upon those that have a susceptibility to this sort of game of chance model. So someone who is very... What it essentially does is it creates a haves and have-nots, and a lot of people are completely immune to it and will just go, I don't fucking care. Like, they'll play, I don't know, Overwatch, or suffer through Overwatch, or whatever people do with that game, and they will see someone wearing a particular skin on a particular thing, and some people will just go, don't care, like, couldn't care less. But there's going to be some people that will see it and go, I like that, I want it. And then they'll find out it's in a loot box, and then they will, like, literally just keep shoving money into the loot boxes until they get this one thing they want. And it just becomes this constant, I need to have this thing. And that's what that's what they are targeting. They're not targeting people like us. They're targeting the people that would be weak to this. And that's what makes them sinister.
Well,
I kind of agree. I agree to sort of disagree. I will differ with you on that, but we can have a respectful disagreement, difference of opinion. I understand what you're saying, though. I do understand what you're saying.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, for what what RTG said about this, it's not built for the loot boxes. The game is not built for a loot box economy. The loot box economy was introduced after the fact. one of the things that some people were saying online was like, okay, you're introducing loot boxes into the game, with making it a fundamental part of the game. Can I have my money back from the game? No. Because now you're changing the foundation of the game and the way the game is played. Effectively. Yeah. The way that loot is acquired. So if suddenly, like, if I were a player, because I don't play Ghost Recon Wildlands, but if I were a player of a game, like, let's say I played Destiny, and it's Destiny 2, and suddenly Bungie introduced loot boxes, paid for loot boxes that contain loot, actual gameplay stuff, I would be upset, because this is, they're changing the way the game is played. This is not why I bought the game. I didn't buy it because it had loot box. I avoided other loot box games so I can play the one that doesn't have the loot boxes. Now you're changing it up on me. And to me, that is problematic. And I think for a lot of people, that's problematic as well. And this whole adding loot boxes later needs to be quashed as quickly as we've been trying to quash loot boxes themselves. Because, I don't know, it's just allowing to the publisher and to the developer to change things up as they want, and it could set a really, really bad precedent for the future. My opinion, of course. But yeah. Anywho.
Yep, I agree with absolutely everything you just said, Akabana, but I will point out that you using Destiny 2 as an example was probably a bad example, because you're upset with that game anyway.
I'm upset with it anyway, but to be fair to people, the loot boxes in Destiny 2 are mostly about cosmetic stuff, although that is also done in a very, 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 very bad way as well. But yeah, it's not that gameplay oriented, but still. Yeah, and Bungie has been, to their everlasting credit, have been trying to do something about the game. Hopefully, it will be good enough to make me go back to that as well. Anyway, we got another controversial topic, and RTG, you're up.
From one insidious thing to another, Jess Cliff, the co-creator of Counter-Strike, has been arrested for the sexual exploitation of a child and has been suspended from Valve. And good riddance, I hope worse happens. What are your thoughts, you two?
I abhor any kind of action that such nature towards children, and that is something that everybody in the world shares. I don't understand this depraved notion of trying to exploit children in this kind of way. The fact that it's happened by somebody within our industry who has, like, created something so influential in the gaming world, right? Like, Counter-Strike is such a huge thing. It's earth-shattering. It's just as earth-shattering as all the things we've been hearing about from Hollywood and the Hollywood scene, with all of these sexual assault allegations coming out. And it's even worse because we're talking about a child here. Suspended from Valve is not enough, in my opinion. Complete ostracization needs to happen here. Like, this guy should never show his face again in the industry.
Could you keep talking for a couple of minutes? I just need to do something. Won't be long.
Okay. Of course, we can continue on this topic.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm with you 100% on what you suggest with him being entirely ostracized, because this is unacceptable, and what it's done. And I think this needed to happen in a way, not the exploitation of a child. Let's be very clear on that. But the game industry is an industry just like any other. There are going to be people like this, and they need to be found and removed. What with David Cage a couple of weeks ago, Jess Cliff now, the gaming industry is just the same as any other industry, and this behaviour needs to be rooted out.
Oh yeah,
it needs to be rooted out.
Absolutely.
Because this isn't, if this wouldn't be acceptable in day-to-day life, just because it's the games industry does not make it any more acceptable.
Yeah, definitely. And just because you're in you got money and you have like this really huge creation under your belt doesn't mean that you're any better than the rest of human beings. And that just comes into, like, you know, the whole idea that all these people just feel so powerful and invincible. And suddenly everything is boring in their life. I don't know what it is that generates them this need to try these kinds of heinous acts. It's disgusting, no matter what it is. And I believe that people like this should actually be way better than that. So, yes, good riddance, as you said. Daniel, your thoughts?
So, I'd like to come at this from a slightly different angle. Obviously, these acts are heinous. What I would say though is we don't know if he did it or not, and that's he hasn't been charged. He's been arrested. So until he's been charged and found guilty, he's not guilty.
That's definitely fair. That's definitely fair. That's definitely fair. Innocent until proven guilty is kind of, something that, most of us kind of follow. But the thing is that even still, like, the fact that this thing has just come out to light right now just comes to show that maybe something must have been there. So
we don't know. We
don't know for sure.
He could be. Look, I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm just saying he's not guilty. Hopefully. He's not guilty until proven otherwise. And it's pretty. I mean, I don't know how realistic this is, but it's pretty surprising that this came out in the media. Surely it should come out in the media when he's actually been charged or he's actually been found guilty. If he's innocent, if he's not guilty, his reputation is going to be ruined, and we don't know he did it. It's innocent till proven guilty.
We'll have to see then. I mean, hopefully, we're glad you brought that up, but hopefully nothing has really happened in that case, and this is just all, speculation and an attempt at defamation. But that being said, yeah, no matter if this is indeed something that has happened, I hope whatever comes to him, comes to him. Right.
Yeah, and if he's found, rest assured, if he's found guilty when he goes to prison, that'll be the real punishment. It's not just having your rights deprived, your freedom deprived. It's going to prison, and I think I suspect, I don't know if I'll be right, I think the other criminals take umbrage to the fact that, his crimes towards children, because they tend to be the lowest on the food chain in prisons. So he'll get punished for that way as well.
Let's see. We'll have to wait and see. Right, that's going to do it with our controversial section. Let's move on to the news bites. Daniel, you're up. What's first on our list?
So the news bites, the KOF 97 Global announced. What do you guys think of that?
I want it to be 98.
97 is the bugged one, right? The one that has like these ridiculous one hit, like, corner juggles shit, right?
I think so, but that sounds like a KOF game anyway, if I'm perfectly honest.
That's fair.
I'm happy because this means that KOF, SNK are showing faith in KOF again. What with that and the new DLC announced for KOF 14, it's a good year if you are. It's already shaping up to be a good year if you're a fan of King of Fighters, which I am. So that's good. I just can't wait to find out what the other DLC characters are going to be for 14.
Yeah, we already got.
Actually,
who was revealed first? Like a new DLC character?
Oswald,
yeah.
Or is it
Oswald?
Yeah, Oswald, yeah.
Oswald, yeah.
The kind of semi-Freddy Krueger weird-looking guy with playing cards. I never played Oswald in previous games, so I'm not the biggest fan. But that's cool. I like the fact it's getting a second round of DLC because that means there's a chance that Lucky could make it in. Come on, Lucky. But yeah, back to the point. I'm glad 97's coming and it's going to be online and everything because a lot of people love the early KOF games and for good reason. They're very, very solid fighting games.
Blue Mary would be nice as well.
Oh yeah, Blue Mary would be great.
Well, yeah, so global match, this is what it's called, KOF 97. This global match has been announced for PS4, PC?
PS Vita.
Vita, and, and PC, I think it is, or Xbox. Probably both. Anyway, it's coming out with online play, and this is basically following the same moves that SNK has been doing with Garo, Mark of the Wolves, and Samurai Showdown 5. Special 5, which both were re-released with online play. So like RTG said, this is showing a lot of faith in the King of Fighters brand, so hopefully we're going to see more. Maybe hopefully re-releases of King of Fighters 2000 somethings, because those were some pretty great games as well.
I think 2001
Yeah.
was the really good one, I think.
Yeah. 2002 Ultimate Match was also like a game that was actually re-released as Ultimate Match. They had a lot of faith in that one as well. Yeah. I can't help but feel, though, that this is a bit of a China move, to be honest with you, because KOF 97 is ginormous in China. That's where all the fans are of 97. They're in China. So, yeah. What was that, Daniel?
They're not going to do any overhauls in terms of like gameplay or graphics.
They tend not to.
Which is a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely good. They're preserving the game the way it was, right? Kind of like similarly how Capcom did with Street Fighter 3 Online Edition, right?
Yeah. That was well done, though, because it had on the side panels your achievements, the progress towards the achievements. That was cool.
Nice.
That was the only
nice,
change.
I love Third Strike so much.
Well, you're getting it. Arcade Perfect in the Anniversary Edition.
Soon enough.
Not soon enough.
Akabana.
That's in March, right?
Not soon enough. It's May.
May? Oh, frick. Right. Anywho. Sticking on to the fighting game train, Guilty Gear Rev 2 is to receive a balance patch. Or hasn't received it already. But, yeah. There's a balance patch coming out for Guilty Gear Rev 2. Thoughts?
I'm glad this is happening. We'll get to it later, obviously, but Evo Japan, I'm pretty sure the patch the balance update currently hasn't been done. But there was some quite cheap stuff at Evo Japan in Rev 2, so I'm glad they are patching, and because it's literally a roster wide, I believe, balance update, which is good. The last time they did that was when they released Rev 2, and I'm just glad Arxis is still showing a lot of care for Rev 2, because it's a game that is still quite widely loved, if not widely played.
That's good. Well, cheap stuff, that's kind of always been a little bit a Guilty Gear thing, right? Because that system is just so wide open that it just like it's really easy to have like some cheap shit happening. But yeah, balance update is always something we want in fighting games, just to make things a little bit better. Well, with Street Fighter receiving balance changes from Arcade Edition as well to shake up the meta a bit. Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that needed to be done too.
Right.
Keeping it on fighting games as well. There's been a recent update, which actually both me and Akabana are quite happy about, regarding BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. It comes from the developer himself. One second, I need to make sure I get this name right, because I hate mispronouncing Japanese names. Tosimichi Mori. I think I've got that right. He came out, he was interviewed, I believe, and he actually put a lot of my fears to rest about the DLC practice, and I'd like to know your thoughts in person as well, Akabana, to do with this, where he actually said the base game of Cross Tag Battle will be less than a full price title, and that once you include the DLC characters, which will obviously, as we know, double the roster, it will come to just a bit more expensive than a normal full price title, which puts a lot of people's fears to rest about the base game, because I remember one of my fears was that the base game was going to be a full price game, and then there was going to be a character pass on top of that, which is going back it's given me really bad memories about Street Fighter V. So I'm really glad that they're doing this, because it gives me a lot more faith in the project overall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very happy about what he said, and that generally just comes into the whole thing that we've been speculating for a while, that the game was going to actually ship at a lower price point compared to other games, right? So yeah, the fact.
What was the crux of the interview? What did you come away learning?
All right. The crux basically is, it goes like this. So first of all, he mentioned because of the DLC issue, he mentioned that that because it was going to basically be 20 character roster base and 20 characters DLC, and this had a lot of people up in arms, like, oh my god, it's like half the game basically is locked away as DLC. So what Mori basically said was, look, we're looking to, in his interview, the first thing the first takeaway is that the game is going to release at a lower price point compared to other AAA titles, which is something that Arxis has been doing for a while. Like, you haven't seen a BlazBlue title come out at more than $40 lately. And that is because Arxis is playing this game where it's like, we want to see if the game garners any interest, and then we support it once the interest is there. Which is a pretty sensible move to do. Second of all, from the interview, he mentioned that they were really, really pushing for the game to have really good gamepad support. So the whole button scheme, the whole button layout of the game is going to be very heavily based on allowing for people with gamepads to play it more comfortably. Which is also great because most people who want to pick up fighting games always are wary about the idea that they think that they need to buy an arcade stick. So this is a really good move to, you know, allow these players to, you know, pick up the game without worrying about anything like that.
To engage a more market development strategy, you know, to increase their demographics.
More or less, yeah.
The products. Yeah.
What else? What else? The interview also included, they also said, they didn't really talk about how much the price of the DLC was actually going to be, but what Mori instigated was that if you buy the base game and you buy the season pass or whatever they end up having, it's going to just take the game up a little bit above a AAA priced game. And that is pretty much it. That's what the interview was about. Aside from other things that he talked about. Thoughts? Not much. Not much. Okay. Well, yep, I've also discussed this in a video as well on my channel. You can check that out as well. There's going to be a card on the top over here. So, yeah, let's move on. Next topic.
Sony reveal their Amiibo style range. That was the next topic, yeah?
Yeah, I want one of them. I really want one of them. No prizes for guessing which one I want out of that range.
Which one do you want out of that range? The
Bloodborne Hunter, yeah, of course.
Enough. Okay.
To clear this up for people that don't know about it, Sony recently announced that they were releasing a range of figures called Totaku, which are essentially amiibo-style figurines. If you were to, like, anyone like listening to this or watching this, go and Google Sony Totaku, and you will see why there's been comparisons made to amiibo. The boxes are similar, the figures are around about the same sort of size. But the only difference between Totaku and amiibo is that Totaku has no NFC. So it will have no impact on the games themselves. Whereas obviously Amiibo are NFC activated, so they do things with the games, whether it be a DLC or whatever. But the Totaku range are just little figurines, and I could not want the Bloodborne Hunter more.
I think it's a... Yeah, Daniel?
Yeah, they've got what's his name? Hahachi from Tekken, and that thing from Little Big Planet. What's his name?
Yeah, Sackboy. Sackboy.
Yeah, Sackboy. Yeah.
Ooh, the Sackboy is cute. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems a really obvious copy of what Nintendo are doing, but I don't know if it must be profitable if they're considering adopting that sort of strategy.
Oh, Nintendo makes so much money off of Amiibo, you have no idea. In their fiscal reports, they make so much money on Amiibo. So much money.
Nice cash cow.
Except that, yeah, it is a cash cow. The difference being, though, is that Amiibo have a point. Totaku do not. They are just nice little figurines, and I'm still getting one because I am that much of a fanboy for Bloodborne.
That's really good, though. The game means that much to you. You know, you buy...
Oh, yeah, it definitely does.
Merchandise, yeah. Yeah, it's It's pretty good. I just
I'm like basically it's like, yeah, what is the point? But on the other hand, I know that, I mean, Amiibo have a point, but at the same time it's like, how often do you use the point, you know? It doesn't add that much more significant things to the game. People actually buy the Amiibo for the figures themselves, right?
Mostly.
Yeah.
There are certain Amiibo I use quite a lot though. So like I use the Fire Emblem ones a lot because they get you additional weapons in Fire Emblem Warriors. So I use those quite a lot. And I've just recently used certain ones of my Amiibo in the game I'm playing at the moment that I'm not allowed to talk about. So to unlock costumes. So that's another thing.
It's nice when there's like that cross game thing happening. So if you're using like Amiibo in different games, then yeah, it's great that you're able to do that. Okay, next piece of news over here: Xbox Game Pass, which has you know, garnered the ire of the retail games retail industry. The Game Pass is scheduled to expand to include day one editions of Xbox first-party games, basically meaning you could essentially end up paying, you could take, what was it, £10 a month? Was that RTG?
It's something like that. £10, $10.99. It's something in that region.
A month, which would basically allow you to play backwards compatible Xbox games, like a Netflix of games of sorts. Now would include new first-party games coming to the console.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's an interesting it's an interesting move from Xbox. I'd like to hear some of your thoughts. Let's start with Daniel.
I don't really have a strong opinion on it, to be honest.
Not really.
Not really. No.
Okay. RTG, I know this is a big thing for you, though.
Yeah, I'm torn over it. On one hand, this is possibly the most consumer-friendly moves, one of the most consumer-friendly moves that any of the big three have done in years. So Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, this is by far one of the best consumer moves that's been done. But on the other hand, it's a continuation down a road that I'm not particularly comfortable with, which is the entire digitization of video games, which, yes, is a long way off, but it's kind of the first step down that, because now we're having brand new games released on this subscription service immediately that people can then just play and then will just disappear into the ether one day. And also, I can see the problem that the retailers have with this as well. They are understandably annoyed at this. Because, in all fairness, most retailers make most of their money on the games. They don't really make that much money on the consoles. So, especially pre-owned as well. So they are losing. They'll, like, if this takes off, let's just say this succeeds and Microsoft have a really great thing on their hands, and then Sony decide to follow suit. Unlikely, but possible. And then Nintendo, oh no, Nintendo would be about 10 years away, because we all know they copy the best ideas from about a decade before. It sets a bad precedent, because that means a lot of retailers will lose a lot of money, and game is in trouble enough as it is, which we'll get to a little bit later. But it doesn't bode very well. There's already been a retailer, I think it's an Australian retailer, that has point blank refused now to sell Xbox Ones. Which is understandable. It's perfectly understandable, because it's a consumer friendly but a retailer friendly. Have I gone?
We seem to have lost Ruben, who's probably still talking.
Am I back?
I thought he was pausing for a dramatic effect, but
I thought that, yeah.
Oh, there you are. Oh,
am I
there
back?
You are.
You're back.
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, he's gone. No, he's come back again.
There he is again.
Why do I keep dropping out? I'm not using the internet for anything.
Okay, we're fine. We're fine.
Where did I get to in my rant? I was I've been broken mid-flow.
you just like stopped, and it sounded like you were ready to do like some dramatic effects and pause thing over there, and then we just realized you were gone for a bit.
You were saying about how one retailer refused to sell Xbox Ones.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they refused to sell Xbox Ones, which I can perfectly understand. So essentially, this matter comes down to an argument between consumer versus retailer. Which side do you want to be on in this dispute? Because there are those very two clear sides. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great thing as a gamer, and as a gamer who has an Xbox One. Great thing, fantastic thing. I can play new games for £10 a month. Brilliant. However, I can see the other side of this because I'm not that much of a gamer. As in, like, I'm not a elite gamer. So therefore, I can see the retailers' problem with this. I can see their sides.
Yeah, they just have to adapt. Unfortunately, they may not succeed in adapting. It's going to happen. It's happening. So, they have to think of, I don't know what they'll think of, but let their marketing department figure that out.
I have to point out over here that, and I've been saying this for a while, is that it feels to me like the games industry, because of all of these advancements with internet and digital media and all of that stuff, is that we're coming to a very huge turning. We're in a transitional period, and we've been in a transitional period for a while. We don't know what to do with this new digital age of gaming, and it seems that everybody's trying out new stuff right now. It seems to me like Xbox is trying something new right now, at the same time turning to a strategy where it says, oh, here on Xbox, you can have a Netflix of games that will include also new games on top of that. So I don't think it's a bad strategy, considering that Xbox isn't looking like it's going to be number 2 for very long. It's probably going to drop to number 3 if Nintendo has yet another amazing year with the Switch in 2018. So it's all because I'm pretty sure that at some point Nintendo's gonna deal the critical strike of, here's the Netflix of Nintendo virtual console stuff, play games from Game Boy era all the way up to, we might even have GameCube, who knows. So we'll have to see. I mean, there's Xbox is a pretty dire situation if you ask me. So they could either move all their first-party stuff to other consoles so they can get something out of that, so they turn into another Sega, or they have to change the strategy because they've already sold Xboxes.
I think Microsoft has to really have a hard look at themselves and think, what's the Xbox One there for? I mean, you'll compete with PS4, compete with Nintendo Switch. I think those two have a really good reason to exist, and PCs as well. I think Xbox One is like, I don't think it has a reason, really, a reason to buy. All the, what exclusives are there for the Xbox One? There's not an awful lot. And also you can get most of them on PC.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you something, Daniel. For me, I don't have an Xbox. I do have a decently powered laptop. Right now, because of this Game Pass, I think an Xbox One S sounds like a very attractive proposition for me. £10, I could just pay it £10 and play a game for a month, and then I could just cancel that. And when they have another game that drops, I pay another £10. It doesn't sound like a very bad proposition to me. It makes Xbox attractive to someone who doesn't have it right now.
Well, the benefit of that, Akabana, the benefit of that plan, to take that plan a little bit further, if you were to buy an Xbox One S, which, I don't know, about 200 roughly pounds maybe, and then if you just add the £10 membership on top of that, don't get any games with the console, just get the Game Pass, that gives you the whole of the Xbox, a lot of the Xbox, original Xbox, almost all of the 360, and then quite a lot of the Xbox One games at your fingertips for £10 a month without you spending any additional money. There's a massive benefit to it for the consumer. Huge benefit.
I think it's great, and I think it might even lead to a strategy where maybe Xbox might be selling this as a Netflix service. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. Yeah, there are the concerns about what you mentioned about preserving the media, but this is such a consumer-friendly move. I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if one day we were having Xbox service on your PlayStation 4, on your PC, on your Switch. Sky's the limit here, I feel.
Well, it would be a test. You know, see how it goes.
Oh, yeah, what they have right now is a test bed, but we're going to see something really big in the future, I feel. Right, let's kick it off with the next bit of news. RTG, this is yours.
Yep, the director of ARMS, Kenta Sato, has said in an interview recently that ARMS is now complete. ARMS is finished. So that means there's been, since he did this interview, there has been a few balance and little patch updates, but the game itself is done. It's finished now.
A little bit sad, I have to say. Although I think it was already implied that the last piece of DLC we got was actually the end of the game, right? I wonder if this was actually what they intended, or if, like, the sales really didn't, or the usage, actually, if people aren't playing it enough to warrant them to do more updates. I mean, I would have liked to see some more fighters.
I would have played it much more if the online interface was suitable. No, not online interface. Online experience was suitable, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not the best, really. Yeah.
It's lacking that maybe competitive element. It seemed a bit.
No, not even that. It has.
From my limited experience of it, like the DLC character, that big, what's his name? That big, boss something.
Max Brass.
Max Brass. Yeah.
Max Brass. Yeah, he did seem a little bit overpowered, but I mean that's just one issue. But online play is the sort of way to increase interest without you having to go to tournaments and stuff like that. I would have liked to have seen it last a bit longer, though.
Agreed on that. It doesn't help that. It doesn't help that Nintendo.
Ahead.
It doesn't help that Nintendo haven't been supporting this at tournament level either. Not really. I'll get into that when we talk about Evo Japan, because I'm a big bugbear with Nintendo about this. But it doesn't help that they haven't been pushing this as a competitive game when they should have been, because it is, and it can be. It could have been a fantastic competitive game that could have lasted years. Like, not of the same caliber, but like, if you think along the sort of Killer Instinct sort of thing, where just each year they update it with new characters and a couple of new mechanics and rebalance it. They could have done that, and it would have been Nintendo's Killer Instinct. But they didn't. And that bugs me, because Nintendo were onto a good thing, and they dropped it.
Unless, of course, they're aiming to make ARMS 2 and expand on that more, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Alright, next topic, Daniel?
Yep, PUBG banned over 1 million cheaters in January. 1 million? That's insane. But I guess it's so popular, this game. People want to win at no... They want to win no matter what. And so what do people do? They cheat. I wonder what sort of cheats they're referring to. Maybe aim bots and stuff like that. But as a game which is very challenging in its kind of battle royale setting, why would you want to cheat? But you don't, even when you win, you haven't really won because you've lost because you've cheated.
Well, I mean, cheating has always been a thing with the game genies in the past and all that. We want the cheats sometimes. We just like that idea that we're kind of cheating the system a little bit. And, of course, there's always cheaters in every game, right? And that doesn't change. I mean, cheaters have always been a thing. What is astounding to me, because if I remember correctly, RTG, this is the first time we've talked about the banning of cheaters from PUBG, right?
No, we have covered this before.
It was a few weeks ago we talked about them banning 100,000. And now we're up to 1 million in January alone. This is a huge, huge amount of players to ban, even if it is for cheating. I mean, this is a ballsy move from Bluehole, if you ask me. Ballsy. Because even in the past... No, they don't. Absolutely don't. They've got the player base. But see, I think it's ballsy because I've said this the last time as well, is that Blizzard had a huge amount of cheaters in games like World of Warcraft, but they didn't ban them in this many droves. But look at here. Bluehole's like, you're out. You're cheating. I don't care. 1 million, 2 million, I'll ban you. That's it. And I like it. I like it a lot. It just means that Bluehole is taking the game very, very seriously. And they are addressing the things that players want. Nobody wants cheaters in their games.
And they're keeping to their word, which is much more important than that. They said they would take a very hard line with cheaters, and they have.
Good thing. Very good. Right. Moving on, and this is what you skipped this, Daniel. There was a game rewards point fiasco, which I am not completely abreast with, if I am going to admit a little bit here. RDG, are you familiar with this?
Yeah.
Yep, and that's
I mentioned earlier that game had messed up. Game have recently come out and announced that the terms and conditions of their reward point system is changing, and the crux of that, the reducing their entire announcement down to one sentence, it's now going to take twice the amount of spending for the same amount of points.
Whoa!
So,
twice?
Yeah, double.
Shit.
Like so let's just say I can't remember the exact maths that was used in the article, but to get a certain amount of points before would cost you £50, and now it's going to cost you 100. Bad call, game. Really bad call. Your elite thing didn't take off either because it was poorly managed and a just terrible idea. So for you to change the reward point system in such a way that is really anti-consumer doesn't bode well for you. Just saying.
I never totally found their reward point system to be very good at all, to be honest with you. The elite thing, like you said, didn't seem attractive at all. I just generally don't like the way that game tries to upsell and monetize and try to increase customer loyalty and everything. I mean, the most ridiculous thing that game ever asked me, a game employee ever asked me, was, do you want to pay an extra £1 to insure your disc?
Yeah,
there's like, you break it, anything like that, we'll give you a new one. And it's like, I don't have a habit of breaking my discs, man. It will basically stay in my console until I'm done with it, and then it's just going to go in its case. Or it's going to be given back to you so you can give me another game. Like that. So,
yeah.
Strange strategies, generally, from game, I have to say.
I've only broken one disc ever, and that was on purpose.
Yeah.
See?
And that was,
you do it on purpose.
Wait a minute, which game was that? Evil Within. Yes.
Yeah.
that was quite cool. And with regard to the £1 to insure your disc in case you break it, I can see it maybe for children, possibly, maybe they might break the disc. I just think it's a bit. Is it £1 to insure it for how long?
£1 for forever, apparently.
It's unnecessary. It's what Akabana already said. It's just unnecessary additional monetization.
Yeah.
And in a very weird way. I mean, you're saying the kid, I will tell you something. Most parents would probably be like, you broke it. You're not getting the new one. I'm not going to insure it because you broke it. So that would be the stance that I, as a parent, would probably take. You're not respecting your stuff. That's how it goes.
But the retailer could say, well, how would your kid feel if he accidentally broke the disc and was without a disc until he could go back to the store and get another one, buy another one?
Very bad, and that's how he or she should feel.
Yeah.
Yes, you heard it here first. Hard-ass parent, Akibana. That's how it goes.
Surprising no one.
Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
So, rumor alert. I could not stress that more. This is a rumor, and it's not from a particularly strong source either, but it is a persistent rumor, so we're going with it. There are rumours that the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which was a phenomenal success last year on PS4, is coming to Switch and PC with a new Crash game coming in 2019, which I would only presume would come to PS4, Switch, and PC. Wait, did the Insane Trilogy come to Xbox One? I don't remember.
No.
Okay, yeah. So
as
PS4,
far as I know,
Switch,
at
PC.
least.
So yeah, to clear this up, because a lot of people are just like, oh, it's a PlayStation game. Where's it come? It's not owned by PlayStation, you dipshits. Crash Bandicoot is owned by Activision. Do your research before you complain about a game that's exclusive to PlayStation coming to other consoles. It's owned by Activision. It's not owned by Sony. It has never been owned by Sony. The closest thing it was it was a kind of flagship title in the 90s for the PS1. It has since left Sony. Deal with it. But yeah, that's all I've got to say.
I'll buy this on Switch, man. I'll buy this. I'll buy any Crash Bandicoot game on Switch now. I mean, it would be so great on Switch. So great on Switch. I mean, yeah, all of these little platformers like Mario, anything that's kind of plays off of the Mario platformer, cutesy or funny kind of thing on the Switch is just unbelievably amazing. It would be great.
It's got to be a good thing to expand the player base. There's nothing, I don't think. There's no disadvantage to what they're doing. It seems like a logical choice.
Multi-console support is always a good thing for any game out there. Let's keep it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, next on the list, Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You
were talking to somebody back there. Hello.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Mario animated movie in the works, produced by Despicable Me producer and Shigeru Miyamoto.
Shigeru Miyamoto, man. Turn in your gamer card now. This man's a legend. You should be able to pronounce that name.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not sure. I think this could either go really, really well or a complete disaster. There's no in between. If it's mediocre, it's a disaster.
I don't have any worries about this. I should do, but I don't.
Why?
Because Illumination Entertainment, that's the Despicable Me guys, are really good. And Miyamoto is really good. So, as long as Miyamoto does what he normally does and have a really kind of iron fist control over his over the properties he's involved in, because he always does, I have no worries about this.
I do have a question here. Does Miyamoto have a background in movie production?
I don't think it matters.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
I just hope it's as good as Super Mario Brothers movie. I just hope it's as good as that.
I would hope it's at least a little bit better than that.
A little bit better.
Amazing.
It's not a very high bar to overcome, right? It's not a very high bar.
Well, we learn what Mario's last name is and Luigi's last name is. It's incredible.
It's Mario and Luigi Mario.
Yeah.
I could not believe it when that came out in the film. And they turned Yoshi into a weird kind of gremlin-looking thing. But yeah, like Miyamoto, he may not have any sort of history with film, like filmmaking, but he is very in control of like the intellectual property that he is kind of pledged to be in control of. I mean, quite a lot of the biggest innovations with some of the, shall we say, spun off from Nintendo games that have come out of Nintendo were because of him. So the key example that always comes to mind whenever I think of Miyamoto and his success is Metroid Prime would not be the way it was if it weren't for Miyamoto. Because he told Retro Studios that the game he would not allow the game to continue unless they overcome a particular obstacle they were facing. And that was the Morph Ball. He said the Morph Ball has to be in this game. If you can't work out how to make it work, this game cannot exist. And that's what I mean. He is very passionate about the things that he has created or helped create. And he knows how to get the best out of these things. So I have absolutely, I mean, prove me wrong. Illumination Entertainment plus Shigeru Miyamoto. Prove me wrong and prove that this is a terrible idea. But at the moment, I don't think it's going to be.
I am with Dillips on that. This could go very well, or this could be a disaster.
Yeah.
Because we're talking again once more about the holy grail that nobody seems to be able to achieve here, right? Taking a video game and successfully turning it into a movie. And Mario's premise is so simple that you would have to, like, put a lot of creativity to make that into a movie that's going to be entertaining and funny, and because it's an animated movie, so obviously it's targeted at children, right?
Mm.
And you're going to have to make it as funny and entertaining and witty as Despicable Me. Because that's how these simple stories actually become great, is because they have this clever writing in it. So we would have to see some crazy good writing here and some crazy fun stuff happening on screen. We need to be taken on a journey. And that journey with Mario in the game is really fun because of all the stuff that you can do in those platformers, especially the latest ones, the 3D ones. But in a movie, this is a tough thing. This is a really tough project to crack. So we'll have to see. Or else we might have another Emoji Movie on our hands.
And with this very straightforward game, are they going to have a melodramatic BS plot line, and Mario's going to be running around trying to save the universe, and will it be taking itself too seriously? I mean, I will concede that Despicable Me producer will be helping, make this movie, and that's, by definition, it doesn't take itself too seriously, you would think, but often movie producers do fall into the trap of taking something simple and making it needlessly complicated. Maybe this is not an apt comparison, but look at Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. They tried to make it 3D, they tried to make it like a serious storyline, but it was just convoluted as hell, and no one really cared. They cared in a way that the game was buggy and awful, but that's not the sort of recognition you want.
It's true.
I would be happy just to get a feature length episode of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show from the 90s. I'd be just happy with that.
Totally, I would totally be up for that.
That was a great TV show.
complete with the real live action people. I want the return of the live action Mario.
Yes, the live action sequences that made no sense, and just led into the cartoon. Genius, brilliant idea.
Make it happen, Shigeru. Right. And it seems like Nintendo, speaking of Nintendo still, are still gonna try to push that mobile initiative, because we're getting Mario Kart Tour for mobile. It's been announced, possibly for a 2019 release. This could be a very huge home run swing here, or it could be yet another, how should I put this, Miitomo, another Mario Run, another Pocket Camp, which so far all of them have not actually been the successes they've been hoping for.
Well, I think it's good that I just double checked, because I wanted to check whether it's going to be on iOS or Android, and in my opinion, I think Android's the way to go. Good. That's a good start.
My worry
iOS, I assume.
My worry is, because I wasn't worried about Nintendo's mobile strategy before, and I am now. And that's because I've played every game they put out so far, and out of every game they've put out so far, only one of them hasn't been a hollow, deadening version of the game it's trying to replicate. They've all been really hollow, really shallow experiences, and that's my concern for Mario Kart Tour now. The same thing. I'm concerned how they're gonna make the game work. I mean, the excitement behind Mario Kart is the power slide, okay? That's where the excitement comes from. Leaping around into power slides right and left. That's what gets me going with Mario Kart.
how are they going to make this work with Tour, and how are you going to make it work in a multiplayer setting? That is the thing also. It's the other big thing about Mario Kart, is playing it with your friends. And I just don't see people playing with other people in a commute Mario Kart that way. Like, if you're going to do it, wouldn't you just do it with the Switch anyway?
Well, it's probably, the overheads are probably very low. You know, it's just a digital copy. I think it's a good way for possibly some casuals to get into Nintendo products.
Yeah, but they want to see people paying for microtransactions on these. It's obvious that's what they want. But if it's not going to get as much usage, why would people pay for microtransactions? That's the thing. And if it's not going to last, it means it's not going to get support. So people are not going to want to sink money into it. Whales will not want to get into that either. But anywho, yeah, that's going to be the news bites for the past couple of weeks. There's definitely more stuff out there, but we can't cram it all into one episode. Let's move on to our big discussion, because a big event, a massive event, which was a hugely important piece of news back when it was first announced, occurred in the fighting game world, and that was EVO Japan. Now, I wasn't able to watch a lot of the games that happened, so I'm going to relegate a lot of this conversation to you guys. RTG, you had a few things you wanted to talk about, a few gripes, so mind jumping into that?
Oh, I'll get the gripe out of the way and then we could get into the positivity. Nintendo, you arseholes. They had two massive games there. Or for them, they had two massive games there. Smash Brothers 4 for Wii U and ARMS. They had two, literally their premier fighting game franchise, full stop, and their new like fledgling franchise, albeit it's ended, but you know, out of every tournament, EVO Japan, only 2 games did not have prize pools. Can you guess which 2?
The Nintendo.
Bingo. Smash Brothers 4 and ARMS were the only 2 games at EVO Japan that did not have prize pools. So
No
can you
pools
ask me,
at all.
Nintendo, what was the point?
No prize pool at all. No money for the winner.
Nope.
That's really weird.
Every other game had a roughly $900 prize pool. Roughly.
Not even from entries or anything.
Nope, doesn't sound like it. That everything I read said there was no prize pool for ARMS or Smash 4.
That's crazy.
I don't drop F-bombs on this show much, but what in the actual fuck, man?
Yeah. Your 2 biggest
Well,
franchises were there, Nintendo, and you didn't even support them.
Take ARMS aside for a moment, not even Smash. This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Good
But
game,
anyway,
Nintendo.
Positivity. Let's brush past that. I don't know whether did you want me to get the anime out of the way and then we can have a more in-depth discussion about the top 8 of Street Fighter 5. Should we do that?
Absolutely. Kick it off with the anime.
Right, let's get into the anime. I only watched 3 of the tournaments because there's only 3 games at EVO Japan I gave 2 damns about. So I watched Rev 2, I watched BlazBlue Central Fiction, obviously, and I watched Street Fighter 5. Rev 2, I'll start with BlazBlue. In BlazBlue, unfortunately, there was only 2 players I recognised. So that means there's been quite a few new players into the top 8, either that or players that I have not previously come across. So the 2 that I previously knew about was Fenrich, who is essentially the world's #1 gym player. Like, easily the world's #1 gym player. All you need to do is watch him play. And his method of playing is very similar to me if I was good. In that he stays away, he doesn't have many lengthy combos. He just relies on other people making mistakes and then punishes them for a set small amount of damage and then does that until they eventually die. He has a couple of longer combos, but most of his combos are about 5 to 8 hits. But he's just very, very good. His spacing is fantastic, and all of the matches he was in were just wonderful to watch because he's very, very, very movement focused, and it's just wonderful to watch. and the other player is Dora Bang, who obviously plays Bang. And just Dora Bang, just absolutely incredible Bang player. Bang Shishigami is a very unrepresented, really, character in BlazBlue Central Fiction in terms of like overall player base. And it's just really good to see him be played at a very, very good level. Plus, also, I got to watch Dora Bang with his Bang destroy Daiwa using platinum, and I hate platinum, so I loved watching her face be pummeled into the ground. So that was good. So that was BlazBlue Central Fiction. Absolutely incredible tournament. I cannot remember who won that in the end, though. Something in my head, I cannot remember the winner. It's really weird. I cannot remember. However, Revelator 2, Guilty Gear Revelator 2. Now that was easily my favourite tournament that I watched out of the three. There were a lot of players I recognised. So Amito was there, the Evo 2017 Revelator 2 champion. Nage was there, and Nage is I think he was the champion at the recent Arxis tournaments. Machabo was there, Evo 2016 champion. Although he's changed characters since, but like, yeah, there was a lot of players. Oh, Kazunoko was there with his Raven, and his Raven is really annoying to watch because Raven's got stupid movement anyway. But watching Raven, a good Raven player, is just absurd. And Nage in the end won. He eliminated so many of the great players. Because Nage plays Faust, who is very good in Revelator 2. And Nage eliminated Amito, he eliminated Kazunoko, so he knocked out, because Amito is one of my favourite players of Guilty Gear Rev 2, he plays Johnny, and he just has an answer for everything. Everything that the opponent does, he just has an immediate and incredibly deadly answer to it. And also, he landed some of my favourite supers. In terms of timing of landing the super, just some of my favourites. So yeah, Nage completely deserved to win Rev 2. And the thing I've taken away most from Rev 2 is how good the commentary was. The commentators were Tasty Steve and Margin Obama, and the commentary was so insightful and so character and tech focused rather than player focused. So there was obviously focus on the players. The players are important, but I came away knowing so much more about the characters and the tech that the characters can use, just based on the fact that the commentary was so focused on the actual technical aspects of the game. But the thing I need to really applaud the commentators for is especially Margin Obama. His knowledge of the players' history was incredible, absolutely incredible. He knew where the players came from. He knew who had fought who. He knew what regions they fought in, what local clubs they went to play.
Oh, you were back.
Yep, see you soon. He knew everything. He knew everything about the players. And it was a genuine joy to listen to him speak so passionately about a scene that he is so proud of and so pleased to be a part of. And yeah, Rev 2 was just incredible to watch, not only for the players, but for the commentary too. And wow,
great to
just
hear.
exhausted my throat going on to offer one about Rev 2. Yeah, but if you have a chance, Akabana, and anyone listening to watching this, go and watch the Rev 2 top 8. It's like 2 hours, and it's just some really good fighting gameplay, with some fantastic commentary.
I always like watching Guilty Gear top 8s after the fact. It just makes for such a nice little watch, because Guilty Gear is that kind of like really all over the top kind of fighting game with some really extremely high level mind games being played, because it has such complex systems. I love to hear off the wall characters like Bang and Faust being in top 8s, being in grand finals, and winning tournaments, because it just speaks to the volume of how much energy these players put into their characters, because these are such niche games, okay? Like this Guilty Gear, BlazBlue, they are a niche of a niche, basically. Kind of games, and the fact that players are putting so much effort and so much passion into them, it shows when you see it in the off the wall characters, all these obscure characters that come into play suddenly. It's great that this is happening, and it's great to hear that it's happening in such a big event that's happened for the very first time. That pushes more of the boundaries of the fighting game community,
and it makes me look forward to Evo, like Evo US, to see what happens with whatever fighting games end up being there, because we know that Dragon Ball FighterZ is going to be there.
For sure. And
that will make a very interesting top 8. But getting on to Street Fighter V, because I know Dillips is dying to talk about it, a very interesting top 8.
Yeah, I loved it.
Pretty interesting, yeah.
There's only a couple of players in the top 8 I didn't recognise, which is both good, I guess, and also a little bit disappointing in also a way, because it means that no new players have kind of penetrated in this particular tournament, or no unrecognised players. Because if you go through the top 8, John Takuchi, who a lot of people know, MOV, who a lot of people know. I didn't know who MOV was, but he is a well-known player. Infiltration, obviously. Human Bomb, obviously. Takedo, very obviously. Storm Kubo, once again, obviously. Itabashi Zangief, I'm so glad he was in the top 8. I find him so enthralling as a person. He's so happy all the time. Daigo Umehara, do I really need to say? And that was the top 8. Wait a sec. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that was the top 8.
Something I'd like to touch upon is Storm Kubo's. He defeated Minette RD, but also John Takuchi also defeated Minette RD, and he was so shocked. He was so lost against Abigail, who Storm Kubo plays. A lot of people feel lost against Abigail, and I think it was a victory for the low tier characters, because Infiltration won with Jury and Minette. So, do you want me to go through what happened in the tournament?
You can do.
Yeah. So John,
I'm just going to put my charger in so that I don't die.
Sure.
So to speak.
John mops the floor with MOV, because although Chun-Li's good, she's not quite as good as Rashid. And also, he beat Infiltration, because Infiltration used Manat, who's not very good against Rashid. Infiltration did beat Human Bomb, again another Chun-Li. Takedo managed to beat Storm Kubo, but it was not... It was very close. And the way Storm Kubo played, he was very relaxed, he was laughing. It was like, it seemed like he wasn't taking the game too seriously. But he was enjoying himself. But I think that actually helped him in the long run. Ichibishi Zangief did lose to Daigo, but that was kind of a given. I think that psychologically, John failed in the finals. I just think he cracked, and that can happen to anyone. I just think he cracked, and that's why he lost to Jury, not Infiltration's Manat, which his Manat didn't stand a chance, really. But it was really fun seeing his Manat, because his Manat's a very interesting character to use. And you can see that the Infiltration's having more fun with the game, because remember he complained about Nash being nerfed. He was really demotivated by that, but then he switched characters, and he seems to be doing fine. But the lesson here is don't use Manat against Rashid, because Rashid always... it's almost a 7-3 matchup, I feel.
It is a pretty tough matchup for Manat, for sure, because Manat relies a lot on the idea that you're playing a neutral game a lot, and Rashid cheats that in a certain way. if you think about it a little bit. He's got a lot of mobility. He's got a lot of ways to get in on you, so he bypasses that game quite easily, I have to say. So Menat definitely has a big disadvantage there. The fact that Takeuchi might have cracked in the presence of infiltration does not, you know, it's not something that goes over my head completely, because infiltration is that kind of player that can force you to crack. If you're going to crack, you're going to crack under infiltration for sure. And I'm glad that he was able to take this, because, yes, like you said, it's a victory for low-tier characters. But we still have a lot to explore with AE. We can't make any judgments here. There are a lot of people who are calling for nerfs for characters like Abigail and stuff. We gotta wait and see, guys. This is no indication whatsoever. It's the very first tournament under AE. There's no indication whatsoever that of balance here. But we are seeing a huge variety in the top what is this? Top 16. I'm looking at right over here. Oh. We've got Bison, Ibuki, Birdie, Nekali. We even have Sakura, which I will have to point out. Kindevu played amazingly with Sakura. He played a crazy good footsie game against a lot of players, very effectively with Sakura.
And
which is the character I'm maining these days. But yeah.
I'm hearing that Sakura is like the worst. But I don't agree. I don't think anyone can say that she's the worst yet. I don't think enough.
Because she's the most honest character. That's the problem. She's the most honest character, quote unquote. And to explain what honest means is that she doesn't have any real ways to cheat her turn, as we say. She can't steal a turn very effectively. She can't really do things that will make you feel that is very ambiguous or is going to mess with your head or anything like that. She's a very straightforward, honest, footsie-style character, which is exactly what I like to play, by the way. But
and she's quite fun to play as, I think.
She's very fun to play. And Kindevu took her to top 16, which is great. Hopefully it doesn't just happen now, but we see more people get encouraged to play Sakura, because that's what Street Fighter's about. Good neutral game. And I'm very happy to see Daigo in top 3. Very happy to see Daigo at top 3.
I always... Oh, sorry.
No, I was just about to say that you just stumbled across a point I was going to bring up. I wanted to bring up that Daigo, although he lost out on the on getting to grand finals, he was on form in the top 8. Like, right up until he lost to Infiltration, he was on form. Like, his performances were consecutively strong. Each match, he was just on it. And that's really good to see from Daigo, because he's been a little bit not inconsistent would be the word I'd use. He's been very inconsistent in his play in the last year or so, I'd say. But at Japan Evo, he was very, very much on form.
And he showcased Giles V Trigger 2 in the best possible light. So I was like, what the hell? At first I thought, oh, this is not very good, you know, just do a flash kick and an additional projectile. But no, it makes the flash kick safe.
It was incredible. I just
want to point out as well that Daigo, like you said, he's on form. He 3-0'd MOV, went on to 3-0 Itabashi, and then went on to 3-0 Tokido.
Yeah.
Before getting himself 3-0'd by Infiltration's Menat.
Yeah, I've got literally the match breakdowns here as well. I took such extensive notes of Evo, you'd not even believe. Like another note I've got here is where was it I just had? I wanted to say that I think that John Takuchi is definitely one to watch. Really is one to watch. His play as Rashid was so clean, like terrifyingly clean. I mean, yeah, he lost out to Infiltration in the grand final, but his play up until that point was very, very, very good. And even his play he was just outplayed by Infiltration. I don't think his play during that grand final was particularly bad. He was just outplayed, and as Dillips has already brought up, his resolve was cracked by Infiltration. And if it weren't for that, I honestly think that Takuchi could have probably taken it, because he was just playing that well the whole time. And it's great to see such a young player doing so well.
He's a very clean Rashid player, one of the cleanest out there. No, that's not including present company, of course. But I'd like to point out, because this is what I'm loving. I love new players, but I have to keep talking about the older ones, because Infiltration lost in winners finals 3-1 to Takuchi. Mm-hmm. But Infiltration went on. This is like where you see the really strong players. He went on to 3-0 Daigo, and then he resets a bracket 3-1 and takes the grand finals again 3-1 against Takuchi, the same guy who knocked him into losers. I'm very happy with this result for Infiltration, because it just speaks to the experience, the tenacity, and just the overall competitive mind of that player.
And it also helps mitigate critics who say Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, Rashid's top tier, and no one can beat Rashid, and Abigail's too strong. I mean, I do accept they're kind of stronger characters, but I would say that overall there's a really good balance, and it's evident by Infiltration winning as two low-tier characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't a tier list. There is, but it's mainly, at worst 6-4. Maybe you could argue 7-3 for some, but in amongst fighting games, that's excellent, because usually fighting games are very imbalanced.
Yeah,
I think there should be such a thing as two types of tier lists. One that is for the more competitive scene, and one that is for the less competitive, for the lower ranking players. Because I think this is a completely other discussion, and sorry for sidebarring this a little bit, but maybe we're just looking at tier lists in a very wrong way. I don't know if a tier list is exactly the same for that level of play and the same for the level of play that you and I are on. So I think it's all relative.
I agree with that entirely. I think there is a certain point in which tier lists become important for you as a player, and below that, it's really a lot more up in the air. Because for me, if I was to make a tier list for Street Fighter V, I can guarantee, if I was to make one now, because I've not read the tier list for AE, because I don't really care about tier lists. If I was to make a tier list for AE, it would be remarkably different, I can almost guarantee, from the tier list that currently exists. Because my level of play is not the level of play in which some of the prerequisites of which these characters have been placed will matter. So for me, it doesn't matter if a certain piece of tech is really strong with that character, because it's not a piece of tech that at my level of play I would do or would see. So I would never be able to make that judgment. I don't know, I can't even think of a piece of tech to use as an example. I just genuinely can't. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that, because the problem with your idea, Akabana, as great an idea as it is that who would create this tier list for the lower tier players? Because a higher tier player would not be able to have the right mindset to place the characters appropriately for a lower tiered play, because they don't have that experience. But a lower tiered player wouldn't be able to objectively step away and place the characters the way where they should be. So who would make a lower tier player tier list?
Well, by definition, complicated characters will be a low tier character in casual circles, because she's so hard to play in their casuals,
And I mean, I don't want to take this into an extensive discussion right now. It could be for some other roundtable podcast that you should take off the ground, Mr. RTG.
Thank you. Yeah.
But I will just point out that there are characters that for a while are considered what are called scrub killers. Bison comes to mind from the very beginning. Abigail, these are scrub killers, because they have these very weird mechanics that are invisible to newer players, frame data that doesn't seem to match up and all that. Like, these characters would go very high up the tier list at the lower rankings. But yes, I agree, there needs to be some, like, there would have to be somebody to define this somewhat. I don't think it's impossible, but it could happen. Anyway, back to the tournament. Overall, what did you think about the production value of Evo Japan?
Dillips?
Yeah, very high, very it seems, I can't think, I'm trying to think of things that went wrong or anything like that. Did the stream drop? No, although I was kind of looking at it. I like the commentators. I like James Chen, he's my favourite. I was very happy with it. I can't think of I can't really criticise. I don't think there was too many sponsors or anything like that was intrusive.
One. There's basically one sponsor for the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna bring that up. It was Nissin Noodles, and I've never wanted noodles more.
Oh yeah, the pot. I think that was fine.
I have never wanted noodles more. Like, seeing that logo on every stream, I was like, I really want noodles. Every stream, I was like, Nissin Noodles. Why isn't there not a shop nearby I can buy Nissin Noodles at? Literally constantly for every stream I watched.
Oh, and it worked with the banter of the commentators because it was sniffing.
Yeah, and there was just pots of noodles around them as they were commentating. Like, it was just wonderful.
That didn't come. I know it sounds really weird. It didn't come across to me as a sponsorship. It came across as more of a joke or maybe a cultural thing. I mean, I know that's not right, but yeah.
No, but you've hit the nail on the head entirely unintentionally. It is a cultural thing.
Oh, okay.
Japan as a country, they culturally do not like being directly sold things. It's a cultural no-no out there. So that's the reason why the advertising for Nissin Noodles, despite them being the sponsors of Evo Japan, wasn't very intrusive. It's because that's not what they do out there.
Oh,
so that's why
culture.
Yeah, it's much better than American Evo, where it's just like, here's a headset you don't want. Yeah, it was I thought it was just a much, not only that, it was a more streamlined experience because there weren't as many adverts. Yeah. It just felt like everything was just so snappy and so well produced and so well paced, as opposed to Evo US.
And any CPT event, because I've said this for a while, I feel the advertising happens way too often in the US
Agreed.
events. I don't care about that headset. I feel that the screens are amazing to market because the screens are the more critical thing for fighting game players. And Zowie being on top of that, and BenQ by extension, is incredible move. But at the same time, I don't need to see this a million times.
Yeah.
And I understand why you're doing it. You need the money to run the event and everything, but you can find a better way to do this. Maybe based on what you guys are saying right now, and I did see some of that stuff, really feels like they could learn something from Evo Japan in that regard.
And I hope they do.
Really
I will really be keeping a close eye on Evo US to see how they do their advertising. Because, well, in all fairness, I won't need to keep a close eye. If it's American advertising, I'll notice. But we'll see.
I mean, in America, they advertise headphones, gamer chairs, monitors.
The Capcom Pro Tour DLC.
Yeah, it's like, and it was so infuriating. It was. I just saw the same ad
Red Bull.
over and over again. Red Bull. Oh, I mean, I don't have anything against them advertising. I mean, they're a business after all. And to be fair, in Evo Japan, I could have sworn I've seen in the background a freezer.
Yeah, they had Red Bull cabinets, so they might have been a sponsor. But as far as I could tell,
I think it was for Daigo only, guys.
There was fridges on both sides, but that Daigo GIF is the best thing to come out of Evo Japan.
I wanted to get into that. Oh my god, I love that. I love Daigo even more now. He was willing to share. That was his first instinct, to share the Red Bull with Itamashi.
It was It was fantastic.
Yeah, he goes for a handshake, and it's like,
it goes for a handshake, and he went to pass his Red Bull. Like, genius. like that GIF. I need to save that GIF as a reaction image, because it was just wonderful. It truly was.
Do you think that was intentional?
No, it was definitely accidental.
It looked like pure instinct on his part, I have to say. But I will point out something else. Daigo's puffing up. Daigo is puffing up. Seriously, he looks fat.
He's probably playing all that AA. He plays Guile, so he doesn't have to act very much.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm looking for the GIF now. That'd be cool if I could find it.
Yeah, it's basically Daigo. He's getting a Red Bull out of one of the coolers, and Itabashi wants to shake his hand for the match, and Daigo is like almost passes the Red Bull, and then realizes the guy's going for a handshake, and then switches it up. The laugh, the face on Itabashi is just gold.
Yeah, Itabashi really does love that. He thinks it's so funny.
But Daigo is just Daigo, right?
Hands down, my favorite thing from Evo.
So many good moments. Woo! So yeah, overall, Evo Japan, massive success. Can't wait to see more. Can't really wait to see more. I will point out also, it's something that people have been saying, is that if you want to, get your name out there and everything, you win Evo America. But if you want to show that you're the best, you win Evo Japan. And I think the win from Infiltration really stamps that, puts a really solid stamp onto that. And that's great. I think it's amazing that we have this extra Evo event every year from now on.
And he did it with,
Keep going.
Yeah, he did it. He did it with Jury as well. I'd like to see him use V-Trigger 2 next time.
No.
The good thing about that V-Trigger is it pulls you in and she's plus on block. But other than that, it's rubbish.
Okay, fair enough. Right, and that's gonna be the weekly gaming blast. RTG, do you have anything to share with the audience out there?
I do. I have 4 reviews going up in the next 2 weeks on RueTheGamer.com. So I'm going to be busy. And not
bedtime
only that,
reading.
I'm really not looking forward to writing 4 reviews in 2 weeks. It's going to kill me. Also, I've got back into the swing of updating the site every day and getting YouTube videos going up, of which I'm going to try. I might not succeed, but I'm going to try and get up 2 YouTube videos a day from now on, because I've got a huge backlog of videos to upload, and that will be my challenge for now. At time of recording, the last video to go up was the 3rd episode of Minor Akibana's journey through Brawlhalla 2v2 ranked. So that's now up on YouTube, and there'll be a new Dark Souls episode and another episode of me raging at Cuphead go up probably before this goes up.
Both Dillips and I are laughing because we've seen that shit.
Come on, you can do it. S rank every single level after you've completed it.
I'm not even going to complete every level.
He says he's not going to complete it, man. He says he's not going to complete it. Oh, what a shame.
Just a matter of time.
Daniel, do you have anything you want to share?
Yeah, well, I'm really pleased to read that Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire is being released on the 3rd of April. So Pillars of Eternity is sort of like a crowd-funded game, and it's an excellent spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate. So it's basically like a really amazing RPG that's coming out on 3rd of April this year, and it's so beautiful now. They've made it look so much better. Obviously, the gameplay I don't know until I play it, but Pillars of Eternity 1 was fun. Pillars of Eternity 2 looks amazing, has weather effects and stuff like that. So I can't wait to play that. Also, I'll be joining my local fighting game community, and I mean more local to the one I already go now, to check them out and see how good it is, see the skill level where I live. So
Worthing Scene Rising. This is your chance to build up your local scene, man.
Well, another thing, what I'm just thinking of doing is helping them organise the events and stuff like that. I'm sure you've seen the conversations in our FGC chat. I'd like to take a more hands-on approach. That doesn't mean to say I'm not going to go to the Brighton one. I am. It's just there once on a different day. So why not? Why not see if I can help them out a bit more? Because, I think we could all... I think we've run such a solid fighting game community near where we live. I think I'd like to bring that to where I live without doxing myself and saying where I live.
That sounds awesome. The more FGC scenes we get out there, the better. I'm testament to that. We did a local scene in Beijing that is still alive after I've left, and it's still kicking. They're looking to organize again another regional tournament there. So yeah, hopefully it's gonna get down. So yeah, more FGC scenes. As for me, I would just like to share once more that my giveaway for my 1,000 sub celebration is still ongoing until February 11th. I have the link in the description below. If you're a Ruby fan or a general Rooster Teeth fan, you like red versus blue or whatever, go and hit up that giveaway. You guys can go hit that up as well if you want. Absolutely, you can be in the running for that. It's a $25 gift card as a thank you to all the people who've supported my channel up until this point. Hopefully we can make the goal of 5,000 subs for year 2 of Akibana Zero. And
I'll use all of my limited clout to help with that.
Sure, man.
Me too.
Right, and that's going to do it. So you can, besides YouTube, you can also find the podcast on Anchor at anchor.fm/Akibana0 or on the Anchor app by searching for Akibana Zero and favoriting. We're also going to start slowly rolling out on iTunes. I know I've been a little bit behind on that, but we'll get that going as well. Yeah, for social links, you can find me at Akibana Zero on Twitter, Facebook, on Twitch, and I also have a Discord channel. The link is in the description below. RTG?
Yep, well, pretty much exactly the same as you. You can find me pretty much everywhere as Rue the Gamer, so Rue the Gamer on Twitter, which is just below here. Come listen to me rage about games and rave about games and just talk about games in general. That's pretty much all I do, apart from share things about dogs. Then I'm on Twitch, Rue the Gamer. I'm on YouTube as well, of which the easiest way to find that is if you go to ruethegamer.com. The new design of the site actually has my YouTube link quite near the top of the site now, as opposed to at the bottom, which is where it used to be. So now you can get to my YouTube channel a lot quicker. And then the final thing is facebook.com/ruethegamer.
Daniel?
And for me, well, the easiest way to find me is just Google search my name, Daniel Dillips, or you can go to facebook.com/Daniel Dillips, or you can go to twitter.com/Daniel Dillips, and you'll find me and my various adventures.
The adventures in Rashid Dome.
Yes.
As it were. All right. And that's your gaming blast for the week. We hope you all have a great week of gaming, and we will catch you next time.
See you soon.
Cool. Oh shit. Do I press stop? Okay.